If you truly want to grow, stop making excuses. This book will show you how to focus on results and transform your life.
Excuses change nothing. Results change everything. That's the truth most people avoid. But it's the one thing that separates those who talk from those who actually do something. If your life isn't where you want it to be, it's time to stop repeating reasons and start producing proof, because no one is checking your intentions. Everyone is watching your outcomes. You either have results or you have excuses. You can't live with both. This isn't about being perfect, it's about being honest. Look at your habits, your routine, your actions. Are they moving you forward or just filling your time? Every excuse you make protects your comfort. Every result you produce builds your future. You don't need a better plan, you need better execution. And that starts with taking full control of your time, energy, and effort. In this audiobook, you'll learn exactly how to shift your mindset, fix your focus, and get serious about one thing: results. Not later, right now. Chapter 1. Stop talking about plans and start proving with results. You know, one of the hardest things for people to face is the simple truth that talk is cheap. Talking about what you are going to do, talking about what you hope to achieve, talking about what you want in life, it gives a temporary feeling of satisfaction. It feels good to say it out loud. It feels like progress when you announce your plans. But it isn't progress. It's not results. And results are the only thing that can build your confidence, change your circumstances, and earn you the respect you want. Talking about plans is the easiest step. Proving those plans with results is the real challenge. Think about the times in your life when you told yourself you would start exercising, build a business, learn a new skill, or improve your finances. How many of those times did it stop at words? You made plans, maybe even wrote them down, maybe even shared them with friends or family. But days passed, weeks passed, and nothing real changed. And every time that happens, you don't just lose time, you lose belief in yourself. You start to see a gap between what you say and what you do. That gap is dangerous. It eats at your confidence and makes you question your own discipline. The only way to close that gap is with results. Results don't have to be massive at first. They just have to be real. If you say you're going to wake up early tomorrow and work on your goals, then the result is simple. Did you wake up early and did you put in the work? If you did, that's a result. That's proof. It's not glamorous, but it's proof. And proof compounds. The more proof you create, the more belief you build in yourself. When you see that your actions back up your words, you start trusting yourself again. And when you trust yourself, you move with strength instead of doubt. Excuses will always try to get in the way. They come dressed as reasons. They sound logical. You tell yourself you're too tired, that the timing isn't right, that you'll start after this or that, but excuses are only noise. They don't produce results. You can explain why you didn't act. You can justify it to others. You can even justify it to yourself, but at the end of the day, you still don't have the result. And explanations never change your life. Only results do. When you stop talking and start proving, you separate yourself from the crowd. Most people live in plans. They live in someday. They live in, I'll get to it when the time is right. They share their ideas. They talk big, but there's no evidence behind the talk. And you know this truth as well as I do. People might listen politely when you share your plans, but deep down, no one really takes you seriously until they see what you've done. If you want to earn respect from others and from yourself, you've got to deliver results. Proving yourself with results is not just about external recognition, it's about internal strength. Imagine how it feels to finish something you promised yourself you'd do. Imagine the satisfaction of seeing evidence that your discipline is real, that sense of pride, that sense of growth. It's powerful. It gives you energy for the next challenge, but you'll never feel that if you stay stuck in talk. You can imagine, you can hope, you can dream, but it will always feel empty until you've got proof in your hands. Now here's the psychology of it. Your brain responds to evidence, not wishes. When you take action and see a result, even a small one, you rewire your mind. You start to connect hard work with achievement. You start believing that you're capable of more. On the other hand, when you keep talking without proving, your brain learns the opposite lesson, that your words don't mean much, that your promises are weak, that you can't be trusted to follow through. Which lesson do you want to live with? Which one will shape your future? The difference between people who succeed and people who stay stuck is not intelligence, it's not luck, it's not opportunity, it's the willingness to prove with results. Successful people don't just talk about what they're going to do. They deliver. They create evidence. They can point to progress. Even if it's not perfect, even if it's messy, they have something to show. And once you build that pattern of proving instead of talking, success becomes less of a mystery. It becomes the natural outcome of discipline. Stop for a moment and think about where in your life you've been talking too much and proving too little. Maybe it's your health. Maybe it's your career. Maybe it's your finances. Maybe it's your relationships. Ask yourself honestly, what have you actually produced? Not what have you said, not what have you planned, what have you produced? Because if you can't name the results, then the truth is clear. You've been living in excuses. You don't need to stay there. You can change it starting today. The shift happens the moment you decide to hold yourself accountable to evidence. Instead of saying, I'm going to eating better, prove it by cooking a healthy meal tonight. Instead of saying, I'm going to read more, prove it by reading 10 pages before you go to bed. Instead of saying, I'm going to build a business, prove it by making one call, one sale, one step that produces something real. It doesn't have to be huge, it just has to be real. And here's the powerful thing. When you start proving with results, people notice. They see the change in you. They start rolling their eyes at your promises. They start believing in you because they can see the evidence. That's when opportunities come. That's when respect comes. That's when momentum comes. And it all starts with you deciding that excuses are no longer acceptable, that only results count. It's not easy. It never island. Excuses are comfortable. Results are demanding. Excuses make you feel safe. Results force you to grow. But growth is what you want. Growth is what changes your life. And the price of growth is paid in proof, not in words. Every day you choose results over excuses. You make a deposit in your future. Every day you avoid excuses. You strengthen your character. And over time, those deposits add up to a life that others admire and that you can be proud of. This is what personal responsibility looks like. No one else can live your life for you. No one else can do your push-ups, make your sales calls, or write your book. No one else can give you the results. It's your job. And the sooner you accept that, sooner you'll see your life change. So, stop talking about what you're going to do. Stop waiting for the right moment. Stop explaining why it hasn't happened yet. None of that matters. What matters is what you can prove. What matters is what you can show at the end of the day. Did you take action or not? Did you produce evidence or not? That's the question you should ask yourself every night before bed. If the answer is yes, you'll sleep with pride. If the answer is no, you'll know exactly why you feel stuck. That honesty is what will push you forward. Because once you see clearly that excuses have no value, you'll never want to waste your time with them again. Every person has the power to turn their words into proof. You don't need permission. You don't need perfect conditions. You don't need to wait. You just need to act. And if you keep acting, you'll start collecting results. Those results will become your story. They'll become the evidence that you lived with discipline, that you turned plans into action, that you built a life based on proof instead of talk. The choice is always yours. You can keep talking, or you can start proving. You can keep making excuses, or you can focus on results. And if you choose results, you'll be amazed at how much you can achieve in the next year, in the next month, in the next week, even in the next day. Results are proof that you respected your own word. Excuses are proof that you didn't. Which one do you want to live with? So the message is clear. Stop talking about plans and start proving with results. Not tomorrow, not next week, today. Because results are what change your life. Results are what earn respect. Results are what build confidence. Results are what create freedom. Nothing else counts. Nothing else matters. Chapter 2. Pick one goal and give it your full attention. Most people fall into the trap of scattering their energy across too many directions. They want to achieve everything at once, so they start 10 projects, commit to multiple promises and split their attention into small pieces. At the end of the day, nothing meaningful is completed. The truth is, progress only comes when you narrow your focus. One goal, one direction, full attention. That's how you create results you can be proud of. When your energy is concentrated, your progress becomes visible, and your confidence grows with every step forward. Choosing one goal does not mean giving up on everything else in your life. It means choosing a priority that demands your full commitment right now. If you try to juggle too many important tasks, your mind becomes restless. You might feel productive because you are busy, but busy is not progress. What changes your life is completing one meaningful goal that makes a real difference. Imagine what happens if you give 12 months of focused effort to one major goal. The transformation would be undeniable. People overestimate what they can do in a week, but they underestimate what can happen in a year of dedicated focus. This is not just about productivity, it is about psychology. Your brain works best when it has clarity. If you wake up every morning with a list of 10 big goals, you confuse yourself before the day even begins. You hesitate, you overthink, and you end up doing little bits of everything, but never enough to see real results. On the other hand, if you wake up with one clear target, your mind feels sharp. You know exactly what to do, and every action you take feels purposeful. That clarity is what makes discipline possible. Without clarity, discipline breaks down. Giving attention to one goal also builds resilience. When you remove the option of jumping between tasks, you force yourself to deal with the challenges that come with staying on course. Every worthwhile goal will test your patience and persistence. If you always have a backup plan or another goal to escape to, you never learn how to push through difficulty. By focusing on one thing, you teach yourself to endure, to adapt, and to find solutions when things get tough. That endurance is the foundation of real growth. Think about the goals that matter most to you right now. Maybe you want to build a business. Maybe you want to get in the best shape of your life. Maybe you want to develop a valuable skill. Ask yourself honestly, which one, if achieved, would make the biggest difference in your life over the next year? Once you answer that question, commit to it. Don't just commit halfway. Don't treat it as one of many priorities. Treat it as your main mission. Everything else becomes secondary until you've created undeniable progress in that one area. Distractions will try to steal your attention. People will offer you opportunities that sound good, but if they don't align with your one goal, they will slow you down. You must develop the discipline to say no. Saying no is difficult because it feels like you're missing out. But every time you say yes to something outside of your focus, you are saying no to the progress you could be making on your main goal. Success is not built on doing everything. Success is built on doing the right thing with consistency. Power of full attention is seen in how your actions compound. When you direct your effort daily toward one outcome, your growth is not just linear. It accelerates. Each day's work builds on the last. Your skills sharpen, your confidence grows, and your results multiply. But if you keep splitting your attention, the compounding effect never begins. You keep starting over, always busy but never breaking through. That is why so many people feel stuck. They are working hard, but they are not working with focus. There is also an emotional benefit to this approach. When you live with scattered goals, you live with scattered emotions. You feel restless, frustrated, and overwhelmed. But when you live with one clear goal, your emotions settle. You feel calm because you know what matters. You feel motivated because every step has meaning. You feel proud because your actions align with your intentions. That emotional alignment gives you the strength to keep going, even when challenges appear. Some people fear choosing one goal because they don't want to close doors. They think if I focus too much on one thing, I'll miss other opportunities. But the opposite is true. The person who achieves one goal gains the credibility and confidence to achieve the next. Success in one area opens doors in others. The fastest way to have many opportunities is to prove yourself in one. People respect results, and results come from concentrated effort. If you want to practice this principle, start small. Pick one goal for the next 30 days. Make it realistic but meaningful. Write it down. Remind yourself of it daily and measure your progress. Every time you're tempted to drift into something else, bring your attention back. At the end of those 30 days, look at what you've built. You'll realize that one focused month can often be more powerful than a scattered year. Once you taste the difference, you'll never want to live scattered again. The discipline of choosing one goal will also teach you patience. In today's world, people want fast results. They start something, and if they don't see progress immediately, they quit and move on to the next shiny idea. But that habit destroys potential. Most meaningful goals take time. They demand consistency. By sticking with one, you learn to wait. You learn to persist, and you learn to value long-term progress over short-term excitement. That patience becomes one of your greatest strengths. There is something deeply empowering about proving to yourself that you can give your full attention to one thing. It builds character. It builds self-respect. You stop doubting whether you can finish what you start. You begin to see yourself as someone who follows through, who can be trusted with responsibility, who can carry a vision until it becomes real. That change in self-image is life-changing, because the way you see yourself determines how far you can go. Every day that you dedicate yourself to one clear goal, you become stronger. You create evidence that you are capable. You remove the mental clutter that slows most people down. You free yourself from the frustration of half-finished projects, and you give yourself the gift of momentum, the kind of momentum that can change your future in ways you never imagined. It's important to understand that this principle applies to every area of life. In your health, focus on one change until it becomes a habit. In your career, focus on mastering one skill until it's undeniable. In your relationships, focus on giving 100% attention when you're with the people you care about. Scattered attention creates shallow results. Focused attention creates deep results. So ask yourself today, what is the one goal that deserves your full attention right now? Don't think about 10. Don't think about 5. Think about 1. Be honest. Be specific. And once you know, commit to it with everything you have. Because when you pick one goal and give it your full attention, you not only increase your chances of success, you guarantee that your energy is used wisely. Using your energy wisely is the real secret to building a life you can be proud of. The moment you stop scattering yourself and start concentrating, your life begins to change. Progress feels clearer, your days feel sharper, your actions feel more meaningful, and slowly but surely, you start to see results that last. That is the reward of focus. That is the power of giving your full attention to one goal. And once you experience it, you'll never want to live any other way. Chapter 3. Say no to excuses the moment they appear. Excuses are the easiest choice you will ever have in life. They appear quickly, they sound convincing, and they make you feel comfortable in the moment. The problem is that comfort destroys progress. Every time you give in to an excuse, you postpone growth. You trade a small relief now for a bigger regret later. The key to changing your life is learning to reject excuses the very moment they show up. If you hesitate, if you let the excuse sit in your mind for too long, it gains power. Once it takes hold, it's much harder to push away. But if you train yourself to immediately say no, you stop the cycle before it starts. Excuses come in many forms. Sometimes they sound harmless, like saying you'll start tomorrow. Sometimes they dress themselves up as logic, like saying you don't have enough time or resources. Other times they come as self-doubt, convincing you that you're not ready or not good enough. No matter what form they take, the impact is the same. The goal is left untouched. The action is delayed and your confidence takes a hit. Each excuse is a small chain that ties you to the same spot. Enough of them and you're trapped. The only way to stay free is to break them before they can attach. The best way to understand excuses is to notice when they arrive. Pay attention to that moment when you plan to take action. Maybe it's getting out of bed early, going to the gym, starting a project, making a phone call, or studying. Right when you're about to act, your mind offers a way out. That voice says you're too tired, or that you'll have more energy later, or that it won't matter if you skip this one time. That moment right there is your chance. If you accept the excuse, you're done. If you refuse it instantly, you stay in control. It's like strengthening a muscle. At first, saying no to excuses feels unnatural. You're used to letting them guide your decision, but with practice, your resistance grows. Each time you refuse an excuse, you reinforce the belief that you're stronger than your comfort. Over time, this becomes who you are. You become someone who doesn't tolerate excuses, someone who acts when others hesitate, someone who builds results while others build reasons. That identity shift is what separates achievers from dreamers. One of the most damaging lies people tell themselves is that their excuses are unique. They think their situation is different, that their challenge is harder, that their reason for not acting is special. But the truth is, excuses follow the same pattern in everyone. You may convince yourself that you're too busy, too stressed, or too inexperienced. But these are the same words millions of others use every day. The difference is that some people refuse to accept those words as truth. They act anyway. They move forward in spite of their doubts and limitations. And that's why they create results while others stay stuck. You can begin training this habit right now. The next time an excuse appears, don't negotiate with it. Don't analyze it. Don't wait to see if it makes sense. Cut it off. Replace it with immediate action. If the thought says you're too tired to exercise, put your shoes on and step outside before your mind has a chance to argue further. If the thought says you'll do the work later, open the file and start typing one sentence right now. If the thought says you're not ready, take one small step anyway. The action doesn't have to be huge. It just has to be immediate. Every time you say no to an excuse, prove something important to yourself. You are the one in control. Excuses are automatic, but they don't own you unless you let them. The moment you break the pattern, you reclaim your power. And once you feel that control, it's addictive. You want more of it. You want to test yourself against bigger excuses, bigger challenges, bigger doubts. Each victory strengthens your discipline, and discipline is the foundation of every success. Consider how many opportunities are lost to excuses. People say they'll start saving little money, but convince themselves they don't earn enough. People say they'll start learning a skill, but claim they don't have time. People say they'll improve their health, but tell themselves they lack energy. Year after year passes and nothing changes, not because they didn't have the ability, but because they let excuses lead the way. Don't let that be your story. Don't allow another year to slip by just because you believed the same tired reasons. There's also an emotional cost to excuses that most people ignore. Each time you accept one, you weaken your self-trust. Deep down, you know you avoided the work. You know you took the easy way out, and that knowledge sits heavy in your chest. It makes you restless, guilty, and disappointed in yourself. On the other hand, when you say no to excuses and push forward, you feel proud, you feel lighter, you feel stronger. That emotional reward builds momentum, and momentum makes it easier to keep going. The discipline of reject excuses is not about being harsh with yourself, it's about respecting yourself. Excuses may comfort you in the short term, but they steal your potential in the long term. Respect means refusing to let that theft happen. Respect means protecting your goals from the small voices that try to destroy them. Respect means proving to yourself that your dreams matter enough to fight for. You can also make this easier by preparing in advance. If you know the excuses that usually stop you, plan your response before they show up. If you tend to say you're too tired after work, prepare your workout clothes ahead of time so the decision is already made. If you tend to say you don't have time to study, block the time in your calendar so it's no longer a question. By anticipating excuses, you remove their power. You don't wait for the voice to appear. You silence it before it speaks. Another important point is to surround yourself with people who refuse excuses too. If you spend your time with people who constantly justify their lack of action, you'll begin to adopt their mindset. But if you spend time with those who value results, you'll feel pushed to rise to their standard. They won't accept your excuses because they don't accept their own. That environment will keep you honest. Excuses are not just a problem in big goals, they sneak into everyday life. You say you'll clean the room later, you say you'll return the call tomorrow. You say you'll drink more water next week. These may seem small, but they form habit. The more you allow excuses in the small things, the easier it becomes to allow them in the big things. If you want to live a disciplined life, practice saying no to excuses everywhere, no matter how minor. It builds a standard of integrity that affects everything you do. Imagine how different your life would be if every time an excuse appeared, you refused it immediately. Imagine the progress you'd make in 6 months. Imagine the person you'd become after a year of living without excuses. Your health would improve, your confidence would grow, your relationships would strengthen, your career would advance. Not because you suddenly became smarter or luckier, but because you refused to let excuses stop you. That change is available to you right now. When you think about it, excuses are nothing more than stories. They're stories your mind tells to protect you from discomfort. But stories don't create results. Action does. And the best way to prove to yourself that you don't need excuses is to act while the story is still being told. Interrupt the thought with movement. That interruption is the key to transformation. Your future depends on how you handle that moment of choice, excuse or action, delay or progress, comfort or growth. Every time you choose action, you move closer to the life you want. Every time you choose excuse, you stay where you are. The difference between the two is not luck, not intelligence, not resources. It is simply the willingness to say no at the right moment. So train yourself to recognize the voice of excuses. Train yourself to respond instantly with action. Train yourself to protect your future by rejecting the easy way out. This training will not just improve your results. It will shape your character. You will become someone others can rely on, someone who follows through, someone who builds a life on discipline instead of excuses. And when you look back, you'll see that every achievement you're proud of came from one simple decision: to say no to excuses the moment they appear. Chapter 4. Direct all your energy toward finishing real outcomes. Most people use up their days without realizing how much of their energy is being wasted. They start many things. They stay busy. They keep themselves occupied, but they don't finish what truly matters. The result is exhaustion without satisfaction. It's not the number of hours you put in that makes the difference. It's where those hours go. Energy is your greatest resource, and if you want a life of meaning and progress, you must direct all of it toward finishing real outcomes. Starting something gives you a small burst of excitement, but finishing something gives you confidence, pride, and proof that you are moving forward. There is a certain discipline required to move from activity to outcome. The activity is easy. Anyone can look busy. Outcome is rare because it demands focus, patience, and endurance. Think about how often people spend time planning, talking, or preparing. All of that may feel like work, but unless it leads to a finished result, it doesn't change anything. Real transformation happens when you close the gap between effort and completion. You cannot build a successful career, a strong body, or a new skill by living in half-finished attempts. You have to direct yourself toward results that can be measured, touched, and counted. When you wake up in the morning, your energy is like a battery. Every thought, every task, every distraction either drains it or directs it. If you scatter it across too many activities, nothing significant gets accomplished. But if you channel it into one clear outcome, the impact is powerful. Finishing a task, completing a project, reaching a milestone, these are the moments that give you momentum. You can spend hours scrolling, worrying, or bouncing between unimportant tasks, but none of that brings outcomes. You feel busy yet empty. But when you finish something real, your entire day feels worthwhile. Directing your energy requires making choices. Not everything deserves your attention. Some tasks make you look productive but lead nowhere. Other tasks move you closer to results that matter. If you want to grow, you have to separate the two. This means asking yourself, will this action produce something meaningful, or is it just activity? When you answer honestly, you begin to cut away the noise and pour your energy where it counts. It might be difficult at first because distractions feel easier, but the reward of seeing actual outcomes is worth the sacrifice. People often say they are tired, but it's not always the body that is exhausted. It's the mind that is drained from spending energy on meaningless action. Real fatigue comes from working hard without seeing results. Nothing is more discouraging than giving your time to something that leads nowhere. On the other hand, when your energy produces an outcome, you feel stronger, not weaker. Finishing something important actually restores you. It proves to you that your effort is valuable. That kind of fulfillment fuels you for the next challenge. There is a danger in starting too many things at once. Every unfinished task takes up space in your mind. You carry it around like a weight, thinking about it, worrying about it, but not completing it. That constant pressure drains you. The way to release it is simple: finish what you start. Even small completions give you relief and strength. A finished outcome clears mental space and gives you a sense of progress. That sense of progress is one of the strongest motivators you can ever create for yourself. Directing energy toward outcomes also means being honest about priorities. You don't have unlimited strength. You cannot do everything. You must choose the outcomes that will matter most in your life. Maybe that means completing a course that will advance your career. Maybe it means finishing a project that could open new opportunity. Maybe it means sticking with a health goal until you see visible results. Whatever it is, focus there. Protect it from distractions. Direct your energy to the few things that will actually move your life forward, not the endless list of things that just keep you busy. It's also important to track what you finish. Many people underestimate the power of seeing evidence. Write down your completed outcomes. Measure your progress. Look back at what you've achieved. That record of results builds belief. It shows you that you are capable of finishing, not just starting, and every time you remind yourself of completed outcomes, you reinforce the habit of directing your energy toward finishing instead of drift. One reason people fail to achieve outcomes is because they allow emotions to dictate their energy. They work when they feel motivated and stop when they feel bored or tired. But outcomes don't care about your emotions. They require consistent effort whether you feel like it or not. The way to break this cycle is to separate how you feel from what you do. If the task is important, you do it. If the outcome matters, you give it energy. Discipline is making the choice to act regardless of mood. That is how outcomes are built. Think about the satisfaction you feel when something is finally complete. It could be finishing a book, completing a workout program, or delivering a project. That satisfaction doesn't come from talking about it, planning it, or wishing for it. It comes from directing your energy until the outcome is real. That moment of completion is one of the greatest rewards in life because it represents proof of your discipline and focus. No one can take it from you. It is yours forever. Another mistake people make is confusing effort with outcome. They say they worked all day, but when you ask what they produced, they can't point to anything tangible. This is a trap. Effort without outcome is wasted potential. Of course, effort is required, but effort must lead to results. It is not enough to say you tried. What matters is whether the work created something real. That's the difference between motion and progress. Motion keeps you busy. Progress changes your life. Directing your energy to outcomes also strengthens your character. It forces you to become more reliable, more focused, more disciplined. People around you begin to trust you because you deliver, not because you promise. Opportunities come to those who finish. Respect is given to those who produce result. Your word gains value when your actions consistently prove it true. That kind of character is built only by finishing real outcomes again and again until it becomes your standard. If you want to put this into practice, start reducing your commitment. Instead of trying to juggle 5 or 10 goals, pick 2 or 3 outcomes that truly matter this season. Pour your energy into them until they are complete. Protect yourself from distractions by removing what doesn't serve your goal. Check your progress daily and adjust your actions to stay on course. Refuse to waste energy on things that don't produce results. Over time, this practice becomes natural and your life becomes filled with completed outcomes rather than empty attempt. You will notice that the more you direct energy toward outcomes, the more momentum you build. One completed project gives you the confidence to tackle the next. One finished habit gives you the strength to form another. Momentum is built on completion, and completion comes from energy focused on results. It's a cycle that can transform your entire life. This way of living also reduces regret. Most people look back and regret what they never finished. They regret the projects left undone, the goals abandoned halfway, the opportunity wasted because they were distracted. But when you live with focus on outcomes, you minimize those regrets. You can look back and see proof of what you built, what you achieved, what you complete. That proof gives you pride instead of regret, strength instead of doubt. Directing your energy toward finishing real outcomes is about more than success. It's about integrity. It's about keeping your word to yourself. It's about respecting your time enough to use it wisely. It's about building a life filled with results that speak louder than promises. And it begins every day with the decision to direct your energy, not scatter it. Your energy is precious. Every hour, every ounce of strength, every drop of focus matters. Don't waste it on distraction. Don't spread it across meaningless activity. Pour it into finishing outcomes that change your life, because at the end of the day, no one remembers how busy you were. They remember what you built, what you achieved, what you completed. Most importantly, you remember it too. This is the path to progress. Not endless motion, not empty activity, not scattered energy. The path to progress is directing all you have toward outcomes that are real, visible, and lasting. Choose to live that way, and your results will speak for themselves. Chapter 5. Hold yourself accountable when results do not show. There comes a moment in every person's journey when the results they want don't show up. They've put in effort, they've given their time, but the progress feels invisible. That moment tests character more than any other. Some people start blaming outside factors, some shift responsibility to others, and some abandon the path altogether. But the ones who grow, the ones who eventually succeed, are those who hold themselves accountable when results do not show. Accountability is not about guilt, it is about ownership. It is the decision to face reality honestly, to ask what can be done better, and to keep moving forward without excuses. When you hold yourself accountable, you refuse to hide behind explanations. You stop pointing fingers at your circumstances, your environment, or other people. You turn the mirror on yourself and ask tough questions. Did I use my time wisely? Did I give my full effort? Did I stay consistent long enough? Was I distracted? Did I set the right priorities? These questions are not always comfortable, but they are necessary. Progress requires truth, and accountability is how you face that truth. The danger of ignoring accountability is that it becomes easy to settle. You convince yourself that the lack of results is normal, that nothing more could have been done, that success is for others and not for you. That mindset keeps you in the same place year after year. Accountability breaks that cycle. It forces you to see that change is possible, but only if you take responsibility for what happens in your life. One of the strongest habits you can develop is measuring your own progress honestly. Too many people avoid looking at their results because they are afraid of disappointment. They prefer to keep themselves busy, convincing themselves they are working hard without checking if the work is actually producing anything. But activity without results is wasted energy. Accountability means you stop avoiding the measurement. You step on the scale. You check the bank account. You review the sales numbers. You look at the calendar. You don't hide from the data. You face it, and you own it. When results are missing, accountability means adjusting instead of quitting. If your strategy is not working, you ask what needs to change. Maybe your actions are inconsistent. Maybe your plan needs improvement. Maybe your focus is scattered. Whatever the reason, accountability turns failure into feedback. It teaches you instead of defeating you. The people who grow are not those who never face setbacks. They are those who use setbacks as a signal to adjust their actions. There is a certain freedom in accountability. It may sound heavy, but in reality it empowers you, because when you accept full responsibility, you realize that you are not waiting on anyone else. You don't need permission. You don't need perfect conditions. You don't need to hope for luck. You understand that your progress is in your hand. That realization is powerful because it removes excuses. If the results are missing, you can do something about it. That's freedom. Another part of accountability is consistency. Some people work hard for a week, then stop when they don't see progress. Tell themselves the effort didn't work, but most results don't show immediately. Change takes time. The body doesn't transform after 2 workouts. A business doesn't thrive after 1 effort. A skill doesn't develop after 1 practice session. Accountability means staying with the process long enough for results to appear. It means holding yourself to the standard of persistence, even when you don't see the outcome yet. You can also create accountability by setting clear standards for yourself. Write down what you expect of your actions daily and track them. Did you complete the tasks you said? Did you honor the commitment you made? When you miss, don't cover it with excuses. Acknowledge it and fix it. By keeping score honestly, you build discipline, and discipline compounds into results over time. Accountability also works best when you eliminate comparison. Too many people measure themselves against others and then use that as an excuse. They say someone else has more advantages, more opportunities, or more talent. That may be true, but it doesn't matter. Accountability is not about competing with others. it's about competing with your own potential. Did you do the best with what you had today? Did you push yourself further than yesterday? That's the only measurement that counts. There's an emotional strength that comes from owning your journey fully. When you stop blaming and start owning, you stop feeling powerless. You begin to see yourself as someone capable of change. Even when results are missing, you know they can come because you are willing to adjust and improve. That mindset builds resilience. You no longer collapse at the first sign of difficulty. You see difficulty as part of the process, not as the end. Most people underestimate how much accountability affects self-respect. Every time you blame others or give excuses, a small part of you knows the truth. You know you could have done more. That knowledge lowers your respect for yourself. But when you take ownership, even when results are absent, you build self-respect. You look at yourself and know that you are honest, disciplined, and willing to grow. That respect strengthens your confidence for the future. There is also practical value in accountability. When you analyze your results honestly, you begin to see patterns. You notice what works and what doesn't. You identify habits that slow you down and actions that move you forward. That knowledge gives you control. Without accountability, you remain blind. You keep repeating the same mistakes and wonder why nothing changes. With accountability, you gain clarity. You can make informed decisions that bring better outcome. Accountability doesn't mean punishing yourself. It means learning. When you fail, don't use accountability as a reason to tear yourself down. Use it as a reason to grow stronger. Say to yourself, I didn't get the result, but I will figure out why and improve. That attitude keeps you motivated instead of discouraged. The goal is not perfection. The goal is progress. Accountability ensures that progress is always possible because it keeps you honest about where you stand. It helps to share accountability with others. Find a person you respect and tell them your commitments. Ask them to check in with you. Not to judge you, but to remind you of your standards. When someone you trust knows your goals, you feel a stronger responsibility to follow through. This external accountability can reinforce your internal discipline until it becomes unshakable. At the same time, don't rely only on others. Strongest accountability is internal. You must reach a point where you don't need someone else to remind you of your standards. You must develop the habit of checking yourself. Ask at the end of each day, did I do what I promised myself I would do? Did I use my time well? Did I move closer to my goals? If the answer is no, don't excuse it, learn from it, and act differently tomorrow. That daily reflection is a powerful tool for growth. Think of the pride you'll feel when you know your success was handed to you. Wasn't luck, wasn't chance. It came because you held yourself accountable at every step. You didn't hide when results were missing. You didn't shift blame. You faced reality and kept going. That kind of story inspires others. But more importantly, it inspires you. It becomes the proof that you are capable of leading your own life. Every person who has achieved something meaningful has walked through the period of no results. They kept showing up. They kept adjusting. They kept taking responsibility. That's why they reached the other side. You are no different. The missing results today do not mean failure. They mean it is time to evaluate, to learn, and to recommit. If you can do that, your progress is inevitable. At the end of the day, accountability is about refusing to lie to yourself. It is about facing the truth, even when the truth is uncomfortable. It is about saying the results are not here yet, but I am responsible for changing that. That kind of mindset turns frustration, determination, setbacks into lessons, and effort into eventual success. So when results do not show, don't run, don't blame, and don't quit. Hold yourself accountable. Face the facts. Learn from them. Adjust your actions. Stay consistent. Respect yourself enough to take responsibility for your own progress. Because once you make accountability your standard, results may be delayed, but they will never be denied. Chapter 6. Focus on progress instead of defending your excuses. When people face difficulty, they often react by defending their excuses instead of working on their progress. They spend their energy justifying why they didn't act, why they couldn't follow through, or why their situation is somehow different from everyone else's. The more they defend their excuses, the less progress they make. Excuses may protect pride in the moment, but they cost growth in the long run. Progress, even small progress, is what creates change. If you choose to focus on progress, you move forward. If you focus on defending your excuses, you stay exactly where you are. Excuses can feel safe because they explain away the lack of results. You convince yourself that there were good reasons for not doing what needed to be done. But think about what that does to your life. The problem remains unsolved. The goal remains untouched. And the habit of defending yourself gets stronger. Before long, you become more skilled at creating reasons than creating results. That's not the path to improvement. If you want to grow, you must train yourself to stop defending your excuses and start asking, what progress can I make today? Progress doesn't mean achieving perfection overnight. It means moving closer to your goal step by step. If you want to get healthier, progress might mean walking for 30 minutes, drinking more water, or preparing a nutritious meal. If you want to build your career, progress might mean sending out applications, improving your skills, or finishing a project. Progress is measurable, excuses are not. Excuses only explain why nothing changed. Progress shows that you made an effort to change. That's the difference that shapes your future. The reason defending excuses is so dangerous is because it shifts responsibility. Instead of saying, I didn't act, you say, I couldn't act. That shift makes you powerless. If you couldn't act, then you have no control. But if you didn't act, then you still hold the power to do better next time. Progress begins when you admit that your choices matter. Long as you defend excuses, you give away that power. You surrender your future to circumstances instead of taking ownership of it. You have to be brutally honest with yourself. Every time you explain why you didn't make progress, ask, am I defending my excuse or am I working on a solution? That single question can change your perspective. If you catch yourself defending an excuse, stop, redirect your energy to the smallest action you can take. Excuses drain your strength. Build it. Over time, those small actions accumulate into real progress. There's also a psychological effect at play. When you focus on progress, your mind starts looking for ways to move forward. You notice opportunities. You notice options. You notice what you can do. When you focus on excuses, your mind only sees obstacles. It becomes skilled at spotting difficulties, not solutions. Both habits grow stronger the more you practice them. Which one do you want to strengthen? The habit of finding reasons to stay the same, or the habit of finding ways to move forward? Consider how different your relationships, your career, and your health would look if you replaced every excuse with one small step forward. Instead of saying, I didn't have time to exercise, you take 10 minutes to stretch or walk. Instead of saying, I was too tired to work on my project, you commit to 15 minutes of progress before resting. Instead of saying, I don't know how, you spend time learning the first step. This shift from defending excuses to creating progress changes your identity. You start to see yourself as someone who takes action. No matter what, offending excuses also damages your credibility. When you give reasons over and over without producing results, people stop taking you seriously. They might smile and nod when you explain, but deep down they know you're just avoiding responsibility. On the other hand, when you consistently focus on progress, even if it's small, people notice. They see evidence. They respect effort more than explanation, and over time, that respect builds trust and opportunities. It's not about pretending challenges don't exist. Everyone faces obstacles. The key is how you respond. You can either let challenges become the foundation of your excuses, or you can use them as motivation to make progress anyway. People who achieve meaningful success don't have fewer problems. They simply refuse to let those problems become their defense. They choose to act in spite of them. They value progress more than comfort. To build this habit, create a system for yourself. At the end of each day, ask, what progress did I make today? Write it down. If you have nothing to write, don't excuse it, accept it, and commit to doing better tomorrow. This daily reflection forces you to stay honest. It keeps you accountable to yourself. Over weeks and months, you'll see a record of effort instead of a list of excuses. That record becomes proof of your growth, motivation to keep going. Think about how excuses make you feel compared to progress. Excuses may give short relief, but deep down they leave you frustrated and guilty. You know you could have done more. Progress, even if small, gives you satisfaction. It builds pride. It makes you feel alive. You go to bed knowing you invested in your future. That feeling is priceless. Why trade it for the temporary comfort of an excuse? The truth is, excuses don't solve problems. They only explain them. Progress, problems. Every step you take chips away at what's holding you back. If your finances are tight, excuses won't improve them. Saving money, learning new skills, or creating opportunities will. If your health is weak, excuses won't heal you. Exercise, nutrition, and rest will. If your career is stagnant, excuses won't move it forward. Learning, building, and applying yourself will. Defending excuses keeps you stuck in the problem. Focusing on progress moves you closer to the solution. It's also worth recognizing that excuses are contagious. When you defend yours, others around you feel more comfortable defending theirs. You create a culture of avoidance instead of growth. But when you model progress, you inspire others to follow. You set a standard that actions matter more than explanations. Your discipline can influence not just your life, but the lives of those around you. This shift requires courage. It's easier to say, I couldn't because than to admit, I didn't. Excuses protect your ego, the short term. But true strength comes from honesty. Admit when you fell short, then redirect your energy into action. That courage builds resilience. It turns weakness into power, and over time, it shapes you into someone unstoppable. The next time you catch yourself about to defend an excuse, pause. Instead of speaking, move. Take an action that proves your commitment. Replace words with effort. Replace defense with progress. The more you practice this, the more natural it becomes. Eventually, you stop wasting energy on explanations altogether. You live in results, not reasons. Look ahead a year from now. Imagine two versions of yourself. One version has spent the year defending excuses, explaining away every missed opportunity. The other version has spent the year focusing on progress, making small daily steps regardless of obstacles. Which version would you rather be? The choice is made every day in small moments when you decide whether to defend or to act. Progress is what shapes your future. Excuses only protect your present comfort. The people who live extraordinary lives are not the ones who avoided difficulty. They are the ones who focused on progress, instead of wasting time defending excuses. That's available to you right now. No matter what your situation, no matter what challenge you face, you can choose progress today. You can take one step that proves you value growth over defense. And once you start, you'll realize how much of your life can change when you stop explaining and start moving forward. Chapter: Act daily. Ways that produce visible achievements. If you want to change your life in a real way, you cannot rely on random bursts of effort. Success doesn't come from doing something great once in a while. It comes from doing the right things every single day. The key is to act daily in ways that produce visible achievements, not hidden progress that no one can measure, not vague intentions that you can't prove, but results that you can point to and say, I did that today. Every day becomes meaningful when you have something visible to show for it. Without visible achievements, days start blending together, weeks disappear, and years pass, with very little to look back on. But when you live with the discipline of daily visible results, you build a record of growth that pushes you forward with confidence. Visible achievements don't have to be massive, they simply have to be clear, real, and undeniable. If your goal is fitness, then finishing your workout today is a visible achievement. If your goal is financial, then saving a set amount or completing a business task is a visible achievement. If your goal is personal growth, then reading a chapter of a book, finishing a lesson, or practicing a skill counts. The point is not how big the achievement is. The point is that it is visible, measurable, and complete. You can't lie to yourself about it. You either did it or you didn't. That honesty builds strength. The danger of vague effort is that it fools you into thinking you're making progress when in reality you're standing still. You tell yourself you're working on it, but what exactly did you finish today? If you can't name it, then the progress isn't real. Visible achievements remove that illusion. They force you to deal with reality. They keep you from hiding behind busyness or excuses. Each day ends with a simple question. What did I achieve today that I can prove? That question separates people who talk about improvement from those who actually live it. Acting daily in this way creates momentum. One completed task leads to another. One visible achievement gives you the motivation to pursue the next. Momentum is built on evidence. If you can see results stacking up day after day, your belief in yourself grows stronger. You begin to trust that you're capable, not because you said so, but because you have proof. That trust becomes the fuel that drives bigger achievement. Without visible achievements, momentum fades because you have nothing real to build on. Daily achievements also develop discipline. It's easy to work hard when you feel motivated, but motivation fades quickly. Discipline is about doing what needs to be done, whether you feel like it or not. When you train yourself to complete at least one meaningful achievement every day, you create a habit of consistency. You stop waiting for inspiration. You stop giving into moods. You live by commitment instead of feelings. Over time, that discipline becomes part of who you are. You don't have to think about it, you just act. Another important point is that visible achievements should be aligned with your bigger goals. It's not about checking off meaningless tasks just to feel productive. It's about directing your actions toward outcomes that actually matter. If your dream is to build a career, then your daily achievements should move you closer to that career. If your dream is to transform your health, then your daily achievements should strengthen your body and mind. Alignment is what ensures that your daily discipline leads to long-term success. Without alignment, you can stay busy every day but remain far from your goals. The beauty of visible achievements is that they reduce regret. At the end of each day, you can look back and say, I made progress. Even if it's small, it matters. That sense of progress gives you peace. It helps you sleep better at night, because you know the day wasn't wasted. Too many people end their days feeling restless, knowing deep down that they didn't do anything meaningful. That feeling builds into frustration over time. But when you name your achievement, you end the day with satisfaction instead of regret. Daily visible achievements also create accountability. When you can point to what you did today, you don't need to explain or justify yourself. The proof is there. People respect results, not explanation. And you begin to respect yourself more because you know your actions are real. This accountability strengthens your character. You no longer accept vague effort or empty words. You hold yourself to the standard of results. That standard changes everything. It's important to remember that achievement doesn't mean perfection. You don't need to do everything in one day, you just need to finish something meaningful every day. Progress compounds. One achievement may look small, but stack enough of them together and they create massive change. A book is written one page at a time. A strong body is built one workout at a time. Financial stability is created one wise choice at a time. None of these outcomes appear overnight. They appear through daily visible achievements that accumulate until the result becomes undeniable. People often overestimate what they can do in a short period and underestimate what they can achieve through daily action. They want results fast, so they start with big promises, but when they can't sustain it, they quit. The smarter path is steady progress. Do something small but meaningful every day. Focus on consistency over speed. Build a chain of completed achievements and let them grow. The long-term impact will surprise you. Living this way requires focus. Distractions are everywhere, and they will fight for your energy, but distractions never give you achievements. They steal your time and leave you with nothing to show. If you want visible achievements every day, you have to protect your focus. Decide ahead of time what your key action for the day is. Make it clear. Then refuse to let distractions steal that priority. Once you complete it, you can handle other tasks, but the achievement must come first. That discipline keeps you moving forward no matter what. There is also an emotional reward that comes with visible achievement. Each time you complete something real, you experience a sense of pride. That pride builds confidence, confidence builds courage, and courage leads to bigger action. But it all starts with finishing something today. The emotional payoff of progress cannot be underestimated. It makes you hungry for more, and that hunger drives growth. If you want to strengthen this habit, start by writing down your daily achievements. Keep a record. At the end of each week, review what you completed. Seeing that list will motivate you more than vague memories of effort. It will remind you that you are capable of consistent action, and it will show you where your focus needs to improve. This practice keeps you honest. It removes the option of pretending you worked when you really didn't. The list never lies. The long-term effect of acting daily in ways that produce visible achievements is transformation. At first you notice small changes, a bit more energy, a little more confidence, but as the days turn into months, the evidence becomes undeniable. You've built habits, you've built strength, you've built results that others can see. People will notice the difference, but more importantly, you will notice it. You'll look back and realize that the person you are today is stronger, sharper, and more disciplined than the person you were before. And all of that came from the simple choice to achieve something visible every day. This principle also builds reliability. Others begin to trust you because they see you delivering results consistently. You become known as someone who finishes, not just someone who talks. That reputation opens opportunities. People want to work with those who produce, and you gain influence. Not because of what you say, but because of what you've done. That kind of influence is lasting, and it all starts with daily visible achievement. Every day is a chance to prove to yourself that you're serious about your goals. Don't waste that chance. Don't settle for vague effort. Don't defend excuses. Instead, act daily in ways that leave you with proof. Build a life filled with completed tasks, finished projects, and visible result, because when you live this way, you don't just talk about progress. You see it, you feel it, and you become it. Chop 8. Refuse distractions that push you back into excuses. Distractions are one of the biggest enemies of progress. They come in many forms, and most of the time they look harmless. A quick scroll through your phone, a short conversation that drags on, a small break that turns into hours, all of these pull you away from what matters. But the danger of distractions is not just the lost time. The real danger is that they often lead you back into excuses. You begin to tell yourself you will get back on track later. that you deserve a rest, or that the task was not urgent anyway. Slowly, without realizing it, you've turned a small distraction into a justification for avoiding your responsibilities. That is why refusing distractions is not just about time management. It is about protecting yourself from slipping into excuses. Every excuse has a starting point, and most of the time that starting point is distraction. You had the intention to work on your goal, but something else grabbed your attention. Maybe it was a notification, maybe it was a temptation, maybe it was someone else's demand on your time. Instead of resisting, gave in. And once you gave in, your mind had to cover for it. That's when the excuse came. I'll do it tomorrow. I didn't have the right tools. I was too busy with something else. If you had refused the distraction at the beginning, the excuse would have never been created. This is why saying no early is so powerful. It saves you from the cycle before it begins. Think about how many unfinished goals in your life can be traced back to distractions. You planned to get healthier, but hours of watching television or scrolling online stole the time you needed to exercise. You wanted to build a new skill, but distractions from entertainment kept you from practicing. You wanted to save money, but distractions in the form of unnecessary spending pulled you away from your plan. Each distraction became the seed for an excuse, and each excuse became the reason you stayed stuck. Refusing distractions means refusing the excuses that follow. The key is awareness. Distractions are designed to catch your attention before you even realize what's happening. They pull at your emotions. They offer quick pleasure. They seem easier than the work in front of you. If you don't stay alert, you'll fall for them over and over. Awareness means asking yourself in the moment, is this helping me or is this pulling me back? That question creates a pause, and in that pause you gain control. Instead of reacting automatically, you choose deliberately. That choice is where power begins. Refusing distractions also requires discipline. You won't always feel like focusing. Sometimes your mind will crave the easy path, but discipline means acting on commitment, not feelings. If the task is important, you do it, no matter how tempting the distraction is. This doesn't mean you can never relax or enjoy yourselves. It means you decide when, where, and how you will relax instead of letting random distractions decide for you. That difference puts you back in control of your time and your life. There's a direct link between distractions and regret. Every time you give in to a distraction, you feel a short burst of pleasure. But when the day ends, you often feel guilty because you know you wasted time. On the other hand, every time you refuse a distraction and stay with your task, you feel stronger. You go to bed with pride instead of regret. The memory of resisting distractions builds your confidence, and the more you resist, the easier it becomes. You can make it easier to refuse distractions by shaping your environment. Remove temptation before they appear. If your phone distracts you, silence it or place it out of reach while you work. If people around you pull your attention away, communicate your boundaries clearly. If your workspace is full of clutter, clean it so your mind can focus. Don't rely only on willpower. Structure your surroundings in a way that supports your focus instead of fighting against it. Another important point is learning to say no to people who become distractions. Some people don't mean harm, but their demands or habits can pull you away from your priorities. If you always give in to them, you'll end up building their future while neglecting your own. Saying no doesn't mean you don't care about them. It means you respect your time and your goals enough to protect them. When your results improve, those same people may even admire your discipline and understand why you said no. Excuses thrive in environments filled with distractions. When you're constantly pulled away, it becomes easier to explain failure than to admit you lost focus. That's why refusing distractions is an act of honesty. You are telling yourself, My goal matters more than temporary comfort, more than mindless entertainment, more than unnecessary interruptions. That honesty destroys excuses before they remind you that your actions, not your explanations, will shape your future. Refusing distractions also builds resilience. Life will always have interruptions, challenges, and unexpected events. If you train yourself to stay focused, despite them, you become stronger. You stop being easily influenced by every small pull on your attention. You develop the ability to finish what you start, even when the world tries to stop you. That resilience becomes one of your greatest assets. It helps you handle challenges in every area of life because you know how to stay committed when others give up. The most successful people are not the ones with the most time. They are the ones who refuse the most distractions. They use their hours with intention. They don't let every notification, every request, or every impulse steal their attention. They live by priorities, not by reactions. That's what allows them to achieve so much with the same 24 hours that everyone else has. You can do the same, but it requires the daily practice of saying no to what doesn't serve you. Start small. The next time you notice a distraction pulling at you, stop yourself and return to your task. Do it once, then again, then again. Each refusal builds a habit. Soon it becomes your natural response. Instead of automatically reaching for your phone, you automatically keep working. Instead of automatically saying yes to someone's request, you automatically consider your priorities first. That shift in habits transforms your productivity and your life. Remember that distractions don't always look negative. Sometimes they come disguised as opportunities. A new idea, a new project, a new invitation may sound exciting, but if it pulls you away from your main focus, it's a distraction. You must learn to evaluate carefully. Ask yourself, will this move me closer to my current goal, or will it delay me? If it delays you, refuse it. Stay on track. Opportunities will always come, but progress comes only when you stay focused long enough to finish what you started. Excuses are easy because they let you escape responsibility. Distractions are dangerous because they make excuses easy. That's why refusing distractions is not just a productivity tip. It's a commitment to your character. It says that you value discipline over comfort, responsibility over avoidance, growth over stagnation. Every time you refuse a distraction, you strengthen that character. And character is what determines where you end up in life. Picture yourself 1 year from now. If you give in to distractions daily, what will you have? A collection of excuses, regrets, and unfinished goals. Now picture yourself refusing distractions daily. What will you have then? A collection of achievements, growth, and results that you can point to with pride. That's the difference between a wasted year and a life-changing year. The decision is made not once, but every day in those small moments when distractions appear. Refuse distractions that push you back into excuses. Guard your attention. Direct it to what matters. Build the habit of saying no to anything that steals your progress. And watch how much stronger, more disciplined, and more successful you become. Because in the end, your future will not be built on what distracts you, but on what you refuse. Chapter 9. Judge your growth by results, not by your intentions. Many people believe they are making progress because their intentions are good. They say they want to change, they say they want to improve, and they say they want to achieve something important. They carry those intentions around like a badge, as if having them is enough. But intentions are only thoughts. They don't build results. They don't create evidence. They don't change your life. You cannot judge your growth by what you plan to do. You must judge it by what you actually accomplished. Results are the only honest measurement of growth. When you measure yourself by intentions, you create a false sense of progress. You tell yourself that you're on the right path because you mean well, because you want it badly, or because you thought about it a lot, But nothing in your life improves until action produces result. Intentions don't improve your health, they don't increase your skills, and they don't build your future. They just sit in your mind, making you feel comfortable while time passes by. That's why so many people live with frustration. They confuse intention with progress. Results, on the other hand, don't lie. If you intend to exercise but don't, the results shows in your body. If you intend to save money but don't, the results shows in your bank account. If you intend to improve your career but don't, the results shows in your opportunities. Results are honest. Even when they hurt, they show you the truth about your effort, your discipline, and your consistency. And that truth is what you need if you want real growth. Judging growth by results also keeps you accountable. It forces you to look at what actually happened, not what you hoped would happen. This accountability may feel uncomfortable, but it is the key to improvement. If your results are weak, you can adjust your actions. If your results are strong, you can reinforce what works. But if you only look at your intentions, you have nothing to measure, nothing to analyze, and nothing to correct. You stay blind to reality. There's a simple test you can use. At the end of each week, ask yourself, what did I produce this week that I can prove? Not what did I think about, not what did I plan, but what did I finish? If you can name the results, then you know you are growing. If you can't, then intentions took the place of action. That awareness alone can change the way you live. It forces you to demand more from yourself. This principle also shapes the way you see yourself. When you measure by intentions, you can feel proud without proof. But deep down, you know the truth. You know the goals are still undone. The habits are still missing. The progress is still invisible. That gap between what you intend and what you deliver damages your confidence. You start to doubt your own word. But when you measure by results, you align your self-image with reality. You begin to trust yourself because you can see the evidence. That trust builds authentic confidence, the kind that no one can take away. It's important to recognize that results don't have to be massive to count. Growth is not about achieving perfection in one step. It's about consistent progress that adds up. If you read 10 pages of a book today, that's a result. If you saved a small amount of money this week, that's a result. If you completed a workout, learned a new skill, or finished a task, those are results. Small results compound over time into big results. If you never produce them because you live only in intentions, nothing compounds, nothing grows. Judging by results also removes excuses. You can't explain away results. Either you have them or you don't. Excuses may sound convincing, but they don't change the outcome. If you didn't act, the result will show it. That honesty keeps you from lying to yourself, and that honesty is what builds discipline. People who achieve success are not free from excuses. They simply refuse to let excuses matter. They look at the results and adjust their actions until the outcome improves. Another benefit of focusing on results is clarity. Intentions can be vague. You might say you want to get better, work harder, or be more consistent. But what does that mean? How do you measure it? Results make things clear. Did you complete the workout? Did you finish the project? Did you learn the skill? Results give you something specific to measure, and clarity brings direction. Without direction, your energy is wasted. With direction, every action has purpose. This principle also changes how you handle failure. If you measure by intentions, failure feels devastating because your self-image is tied to what you hoped for. But if you measure by results, failure becomes feedback. If the result isn't what you wanted, you analyze why and improve. Failure is no longer a personal judgment. It's simply information about what needs to change. That mindset keeps you moving forward instead of stuck in disappointment. Intentions are private. You can keep them to yourself, but results are public. People can see them. Your family, your co-workers, your friends, even strangers can see whether you've produced something real. That visibility creates pressure, but it also creates motivation. When people see your results, they take you seriously. They respect you. They believe in you. And more importantly, you believe in yourself. That's the power of living by results. Ask yourself this. If someone judged your life only by your results, what would they see? Would they see progress, growth, and achievements? Or would they see plans, promises, and intentions with no evidence? That question can feel uncomfortable, but it's necessary because in the end, the world responds to results, not to intentions. Employers hire based on results. Clients pay for results. Your body changes with results. Your skills grow with result. Every meaningful change in life comes from what you produce, not what you plan. To live this principle daily, set clear outcomes for yourself. Instead of saying, I intend to work on my health, decide, I will complete this workout today. Instead of saying, I intend to work on my business, decide, I will finish this task today. Make the goal specific, make it measurable, and then hold yourself to it. That way, every day ends with results, not just good intentions. There is great freedom in living this way. You don't have to rely on feelings or motivation. You don't have to constantly convince yourself you're on the right path. The results tell you they are the proof. If the results are there, you're growing. If they're not, you know it's time to change your action. That simplicity removes confusion. It gives you a direct way to measure your life over time. Living by results builds momentum. Each completed outcome adds to your record. Each record builds confidence. Each step forward makes the next step easier. Eventually, your life is filled with proof of discipline, effort, and consistency. And when you look back, you'll see a story written in results, not in empty intentions. That story will be worth telling because it will be real. So don't judge your growth by what you meant to do. Don't congratulate yourself for good plans or strong intention. Judge your growth by what you actually delivered, by the work you finished, the habits you built, the outcomes you achieved. That's the only honest measure of progress. Results may not come overnight, but if you keep acting, they will come. And when they do, you'll know that your growth was real, not imagined. Chapter 10. Keep building evidence of success through daily actions. Success is not built in one big leap. It is built in steady, consistent steps that accumulate into proof. Every day you have the chance to either strengthen your belief in yourself or weaken it, and the way you strengthen it is by building evidence. Not evidence of what you hope to do, not evidence of what you plan to do, but evidence of what you actually did. Your daily actions are the strongest testimony of who you are becoming. If you want to feel certain about your future, you must collect that evidence every single day. Evidence of success comes in many forms. It could be the workout you completed, the chapter you read, the money you saved, the call you made, or the task you finished. These may look small in isolation, but together they form a record that cannot be denied. That record becomes your confidence. It is hard to doubt yourself when you have visible proof stacked behind you. Self-belief doesn't come from empty words. It comes from repeated actions that show you are moving forward. Without daily actions, your mind is left with doubt. You start asking yourself whether you are really capable, whether you have what it takes, whether success is even possible for you. Those doubts are natural when there is no proof. But when you live in a way that produces evidence every day, doubt loses its power. You don't need to argue with yourself about who you are becoming. You can see it in your actions. That is why consistency matters more than intensity. One great effort means little if it is followed by nothing. A steady chain of completed actions builds a stronger foundation than any single burst of effort. The discipline of building evidence daily is about refusing to leave your progress to chance. It's about refusing to let days slip away without something real to show. Too many people wake up, stay busy, and then go to bed with no clear proof that they invested in their future. That habit creates frustration. But when you commit to leaving evidence every day, you create certainty. Know that each day was used wisely, that each day added to your growth. Over time, that certainty becomes one of the most powerful forces in your life. Building evidence daily also teaches you the value of small wins. People often overlook them, chasing after big milestones while ignoring the power of everyday actions. But those small wins accumulate. One day of saving money may not change your finances, but 100 days of saving will. One day of learning may not change your skill, but 100 days will. One day of discipline may not transform your character, but 100 days surely will. The evidence grows quietly at first, then visibly, then undeniably. The most successful people you admire did not arrive at their achievements overnight. They built mountains of evidence through years of daily action. Behind every public success is a long history of private proof. Hours of practice, days of sacrifice, weeks of consistent effort. That is the unseen evidence that created the visible results. You can do the same in your own life. You may not see the full outcome yet, but every day of evidence is a deposit in the future you are building. There's also a psychological advantage to this approach. Each time you finish a task, you release a sense of satisfaction. That satisfaction is not just emotional, it creates momentum. You feel motivated to continue because you can see the proof of your effort. Without that evidence, you lose motivation. You start to drift. But with it you gain energy. You wake up eager to add another piece to the record. Motivation may fade. Momentum built on evidence can carry you forward, even on the hardest days. Daily evidence also builds integrity. When you do what you said you would do, even in small ways, you begin to trust yourself. That trust is powerful. Many people struggle not because they lack skill, but because they lack belief in their own word. They've broken too many promises to themselves. They say they'll change, but they don't. They say they'll start, but they quit. That pattern destroys self-respect. The way to rebuild it is simple. Keep building evidence through action. Deliver results daily, and over time, you'll see yourself differently. You'll see yourself as reliable, disciplined, and capable. That identity shift changes everything. The practice of collecting evidence also guards you against excuses. Excuses thrive in the absence of proof. When you don't have results to point to, you start defending why. But when you have results, you don't need explanations. The evidence speaks for itself. It silences excuses. And when excuses lose their grip, you become unstoppable. You no longer waste energy on defending failure. You invest energy in creating more evidence. To make this work in your life, simplify your focus each day. Ask yourself, what action can I take today that will leave behind clear evidence of progress? It doesn't have to be huge, but it must be real. Once you complete it, record it. Keep track of your evidence so you can look back and see your growth. A record makes the invisible visible. On days when you feel stuck, that record will remind you of the progress you've already made and the future you are building. Think about how powerful it feels to know that every day, this week, you created every 7 days in a row of visible action. That proof builds confidence. Now imagine 4 weeks of it, 12 months of it. Think about what your life would look like if you lived by this principle for the next 5 years. The evidence would be overwhelming. Your skills, your health, your finances, your relationships, all transformed by the accumulation of daily proof. That is the difference between wishing for success and living it. Building evidence also prepares you for challenges. When life gets hard, you can look back at your record and say, I've done this before. I can keep going. That history of proof becomes your shield against doubt and fear. It reminds you that your actions matter and that you are capable of enduring. Without that evidence, challenges feel heavier because don't have past proof to lean on. With it, you know you have already proven your discipline, and you can prove it again. This principle applies to every area of your life. In your career, daily evidence may mean sending the email, completing the project, or making the call. In your health, it may mean finishing the workout, drinking enough water, or eating a clean meal. In your relationships, it may mean making the effort to listen, to connect, or to show appreciation. Each action is small on its own, but together they become a body of evidence that defines your growth. The future is always uncertain, but evidence makes it predictable. If you can show proof of daily action, you can predict your future with confidence. If you've studied every day, you'll pass the exam. If you've saved every day, you'll pass the exam. If you've saved every day, you'll have financial security. If you've worked out every day, you'll see your body transform. The evidence guarantees the outcome. Without evidence, the future is only a hope. With evidence, it's almost inevitable. So, commit yourself to building evidence of success through daily actions. Refuse to let a day pass without proof. Make every day count. Don't wait for big breaks or sudden changes. Trust in the power of consistent action, because when you live this way, you won't need to convince yourself or others of your potential. The evidence will do it for you. And in the end, it's the evidence that creates a life you can be proud.
Thank you for listening to this audiobook. Remember, results only come when we stop making excuses and take action.